Prince Harry's security battle has moved from a private family problem into something far more serious, a public test of how far the monarchy, the government, and the courts are willing to bend for a prince who left royal duty but still wants the protection that once came with it. The latest briefing suggests that Harry is not backing down. After a private reunion with King Charles, Queen Camilla, Meghan, Archie and Lilibet at Highgrove in July 2026, there was brief hope that the tone might change. Reports spoke about an emotional meeting, a thaw in relations, and the possibility of more contact between the king and the grandchildren he has barely seen in recent years. But almost immediately, the security issue returned. Harry is expected to continue pressing the Home Office for an urgent review of his protection arrangements, relying in part on a report prepared by his private security team that describes an enduring threat to him and his family. In other words, the swords may have been lowered in the family drawing room, but they have not been put away.
He's a sad lad, isn't he? He's absorbed, I think, probably from his wife, this intolerable self-righteousness. His own behavior repeatedly shows that he cannot be trusted. The only way you could possibly have him back in the country would be if his royal status was formally renounced.
Are we heading towards a constitutional crisis involving Prince?
That is why this story matters. It is not just another argument about whether Harry should visit Britain. It is about status, money, constitutional boundaries, and the difficult position of a king who is also a father. Harry's case is emotionally powerful on the surface. He is the king's son. He is Princess Diana's younger child. He served in the military. He remains one of the most recognizable public figures in the world. His wife and children are known globally. It is not unreasonable for him to say that stepping back from working royal life did not make every threat disappear. Birth, family history, military service, and public controversy do not vanish because a person moves to California. Harry's supporters would say that any serious security assessment must begin there. But the state does not operate only on emotion. The question is not whether Harry is famous or whether he faces risks. The question is whether those risks justify taxpayer-funded, police-led protection on the terms he won. That is where the tension begins. Since Harry and Meghan stepped down as working royals in 2020, Harry has lost the automatic police protection he previously received as part of the official royal structure. His UK visits have instead been assessed case by case. That arrangement has infuriated him. He has argued that the risk to him and his family remains high, and that he cannot safely bring Meghan, Archie and Lilibet to Britain without proper protection. The Home Office and RAVEC, the committee that advises on protection for royalty and public figures, have taken a different view. They have not said he can never receive support. They have said that his position must be assessed according to the circumstances of each visit, not treated as if he were still a full-time working royal. Harry has already fought this through the courts and lost. In 2025, the Court of Appeal rejected his challenge over the way his protection was handled. The court did not say Harry faces no risk. It did not say he is unimportant. It said the decision-making process was lawful. That is a critical distinction.
News for Harry, because the Home Office are furious with the way that he has tried to use this trip and this meeting with the king and the children to force the Home Office into a change of policy. Now, that woman there, Shabana Mahmood, is staying as Home Secretary, so I think she's pretty angry from what I'm told.
Harry may feel the outcome is unfair, but the courts have already examined the process and found that the responsible authorities were entitled to treat him differently after he left official duty. For many critics, that should have been the end of the matter. Instead, Harry appears to be continuing the fight through lobbying, briefing, and renewed pressure on ministers. The timing is what makes it so politically awkward. The king has reportedly made efforts to keep a family channel open, including allowing a private meeting at Highgrove. There are also reports that Harry may be offered accommodation at a royal residence when he returns to Britain in September for the Well Child Awards, a charity with which he has long been associated. On a human level, that is understandable. Charles is a father with cancer, a man in his late 70s who may not want to spend the years ahead entirely estranged from his younger son or disconnected from his grandchildren. But when Harry follows a private family reunion with public pressure over state-funded security, the gesture of reconciliation risks being interpreted as leverage. Critics see a pattern. Harry meets the king, the story becomes emotional, the grandchildren are invoked, and then the Home Office is urged to move. That places Charles in an impossible position. If he refuses to see Harry, he looks cold, punitive, and unfeeling toward his own child. If he sees Harry, he risks giving Harry a photo-free but still useful symbolic victory, a sign that the door remains open and that the royal family may be willing to soften. If he offers accommodation, critics say he is rewarding bad behavior. If he refuses accommodation, supporters say he is making it harder for his son to visit safely. Every option carries a cost, because Harry is no longer simply a private family member. He is a royal figure who has repeatedly taken family conversations into the public arena. The king cannot treat him like an ordinary son, because Harry has made the family relationship part of a global media operation. This is where the word constitutional enters the discussion. A monarchy depends on clear lines between private feeling and public duty.
Actually wanted to make that statement, announcing that from the rooms at Buckingham Palace, a decision that at the very last minute, the king luckily U-turned on. But here's the reporting from the Mirror's royal editor. My belief is this was briefed by Prince Harry's team. Prince Harry...
The king reigns, but ministers govern. Security decisions involving police protection are not supposed to be dictated by royal emotion. The Home Secretary is accountable to Parliament. Ravik must weigh threat, role, resources, precedent, and public interest. If Harry could use access to his father to influence a government security decision, or if the public believed that was happening, the optics would be very damaging. It would suggest that royal family pressure can bypass formal process. That is why the palace has every reason to keep distance between Charles's private relationship with Harry and the Home Office's decision-making. The problem is that Harry does not always behave as if he respects those boundaries. His critics argue that he has a habit of refusing to let formal processes play out quietly. When he disagrees with an institution, he often challenges it publicly. When he loses, he describes the outcome in emotional or accusatory terms. The recent Daily Mail case is the clearest example. Harry and several other claimants lost their High Court case against Associated Newspapers in July 2026. Mr. Justice Nicklin dismissed the claims, finding that the allegations had not been proved. Harry and Baroness Doreen Lawrence then issued a statement calling the ruling a whitewash. That response may have appealed to supporters, but to many observers it looked reckless, especially with a major costs hearing still ahead. It also reinforced a wider impression. When Harry does not get the result he wants, he attacks the legitimacy of the process. That habit matters in the security case. The Home Office is not a press outlet. Ravik is not a tabloid editor. The courts are not palace courtiers. These are state structures with legal duties and public accountability. If Harry continues to frame unfavorable outcomes as institutional failure or moral wrongdoing, he risks making his own position less persuasive. A person asking for special trust from the state has to show that he understands the state is not there to serve his feelings. It must assess risks and allocate resources within a wider national context.
To the superstar panel, Lois Perry and Dr. David Starkey. So, Dr. Starkey, my issue here is that Harry is not allowing formal processes to play out. He never does. He throws a tantrum and he expects to immediately get his way. And the point here is that there is a very serious and a very formal process that politicians and high-profile members of the royal...
That wider context is now more difficult than ever. The Times has reported that Harry's request for a renewed security assessment has been delayed because Ravik is under pressure from an unprecedented number of former prime ministers requiring protection, as well as wider demands on a limited pool of armed officers. Britain has been through years of political instability, and by 2026 there are more living former prime ministers than usual. Former leaders carry risk because of decisions made in office: wars, immigration policy, terrorism policy, policing, sanctions, foreign alliances, and domestic reforms. Serving politicians and former ministers may also face threats tied to public duty. These cases cannot simply be pushed aside because a non-working prince wants a faster review. That is the uncomfortable reality Harry's critics keep pointing to. Security is not a status symbol. Armed police officers are not part of a royal lifestyle package. Protection requires trained personnel, intelligence work, planning, cars, routes, coordination, and money. If a limited number of specialist officers are available, officials have to prioritize. A former prime minister who made national security decisions, a serving politician receiving credible threats, or a public official exposed because of democratic work may be placed ahead of Harry. That does not mean Harry's safety is irrelevant. It means the state must decide whose risk is most closely connected to public service and whose protection should be handled differently. The case of Nigel Farage has intensified the contrast. Reporting has suggested that Ravek considered his threat level high enough to offer protection, while Harry's arrangements remain more limited and disputed. Whether people like or dislike Farage politically is not the point. He is a serving political figure with a direct role in public life and a record of specific threats. More broadly, Britain has seen the murders of Joe Cox and Sir David Amess. And in July 2026, the killing of Anne Widdecombe renewed anxiety about the safety of political figures.
Family go through when they are trying to get security. We have seen in recent weeks Nigel Farage actually was offered security by Ravik. They considered his threat level high enough. With Prince Harry, they don't consider his threat level high enough. And Dr. Starkey, if he were to receive this Ravik security, I know, because we know this from former prime ministers, he would get security wherever he wanted to go in the world, wherever he wanted to go. It's permanent. It's for life. It's very difficult to take it away once you've got it. And that also means, by the way, covering.
The criminal case involving Widdecombe is active, so motive and guilt beyond the charge must not be treated as settled. But the wider security debate is real. When political violence is part of the national conversation, it becomes harder for Harry to argue that his personal position should outrank those serving or formerly serving the state. Harry's answer would be that he did not choose the risks attached to royal birth. He was born into the royal family, publicly exposed from childhood, and shaped by the trauma of his mother's death. He also served in Afghanistan and has spoken openly about killing Taliban fighters, comments that some security analysts have said may increase risk from extremists. His private security team's report reportedly cited multiple threats and argued that his danger in Britain is elevated compared with the United States. From Harry's perspective, the state helped create the public profile that now makes him a target, and therefore the state has a continuing responsibility toward him. That argument has emotional force. But it runs into the same practical question every time. If Harry wants the state protection of a working royal, what public role does he perform in return? This is the central contradiction of Harry's post-royal life. He wants the freedom of a private citizen, the income streams of a global celebrity, the titles of royalty, the symbolic importance of Diana's son, and the security arrangements of a serving public figure. Some of those things can coexist, but not all of them on his preferred terms. If he lives in California, signs commercial deals, publishes family grievances, gives interviews, and makes limited private visits to Britain, the state is entitled to ask why taxpayers should fund protection as if he were still representing the crown. He cannot demand royal treatment every time royal status is useful and reject royal discipline whenever it is inconvenient. The money question is unavoidable. Harry and Meghan's life is expensive. Their home in Montecito, private travel, security, staff, legal bills, public relations, and business ventures all require large sums. In the first years after leaving royal duty,
I think is a ludicrous situation. But my biggest issue here is that he just shows absolutely no respect for his father or the process, because shooting his lip off to the Daily Mirror saying the fight goes on means, I believe, he just wants to do this publicly, and he almost wants to bludgeon the government and bludgeon his dad into reversing a decision which, by the way, has already gone through a full court process. If you want to ensure these stories don't get buried by the mainstream media, hit subscribe so you never miss an Outspoken update. Remember, it is totally free.
Yes, I mean, he's a sad.
Those costs seemed easier to justify because major deals were arriving. Spotify, Netflix, publishing, speaking opportunities, and global interest created the impression of an independent royal empire. But the picture has changed. Spotify is gone. Netflix has produced attention, but not endless creative dominance. Meghan's lifestyle projects remain polarizing. Harry's book sold, but memoir money is not a permanent income system. Litigation is costly even when partly insured or funded. If private security costs millions each year, the financial incentive to secure official protection becomes obvious. That does not mean Harry is fabricating risk. It means the public is entitled to notice the overlap between safety, status, and cost. When a wealthy prince asks taxpayers to fund or prioritize protection, people will ask whether the request is about security alone or also about preserving a royal lifestyle. If Harry receives armed police protection on visits, that gives him more than safety. It gives him a visible official escort, a sense of restored rank, and potentially smoother access to events, travel, and family meetings. It also creates precedent. Other semi-detached royals, former royals, or high-profile private citizens might ask why their risks are different. This is why some critics have gone further and suggested that Harry's status may eventually need to be formally clarified. They argue that the current arrangement is too ambiguous. He is not a working royal, but he remains a prince, a duke, fifth in the line of succession behind William's children, and the father of two children who use prince and princess titles. He is outside the institution operationally, but inside it symbolically. That ambiguity allows him to criticize the monarchy while benefiting from royal identity, to live privately while creating public pressure, and to present his children as both protected private minors and royal grandchildren whose relationship with the king carries public significance. The monarchy generally survives through clarity.
His reaction after the case against the Daily Mail was thrown out in language stronger than any judge would normally use, and he is he's indulgent, and he's
and Harry's position is anything but clear. Comparisons with the Duke of Windsor are imperfect but revealing. Edward VIII abdicated in 1936, became Duke of Windsor, and lived largely outside Britain with Wallis Simpson. The situation was far more severe because Edward had actually been king and had wielded sovereign authority. His abdication had to be absolute and final because Britain could not have a former king hovering near the throne, shaping politics or creating rival loyalties. Harry is not Edward VIII. He has never been sovereign, and he is not close enough to the throne to create the same constitutional danger. But the emotional pattern is familiar. A royal figure leaves the center, marries a controversial woman, resents exclusion, and remains fascinated by the status he gave up. The difference is that Harry and Meghan live in the age of streaming, podcasts, Instagram, global celebrity, and endless media monetization. The Duke and Duchess of Windsor could give interviews, write, host, and gossip, but they did not have a 24-hour content machine at their fingertips. Harry and Meghan can shape headlines instantly. They can release family photographs, issue statements, brief friendly outlets, appear in documentaries, and attach themselves to political or cultural debates from thousands of miles away. That makes their semi-royal status more unstable than earlier forms of exile. They can be physically distant while remaining digitally present. That is why William's position is so important. The Prince of Wales appears to have taken a far harder line than his father. For William, this is not only a family dispute, it is about protecting the future monarchy, Catherine, and their children. He has seen Harry accuse, expose, and monetize private matters. He has watched the Sussexes turn family pain into public narrative. He knows that Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis will one day be old enough to read and watch everything.
Which we could park him. But of course he wouldn't let that, because at the same time, I'm not a member of the royal family, I'm above, I'm below, I'm different. And this constant desire to shove himself in front of our noses. It's very, I have no idea how you solve the problem. In the old days, would have been a rule that he could have gone incognito. And they used to, supposedly the rule, if you wore a black sash or a black mask or something, people didn't know you were there. And we really want an ideal world in which he's there and not there. Maybe we could arrange this on the media, some kind of whenever he comes onto a television screen, that in this new age of AI, there can be immediate self-blanking device, and you merely hear.
From William's perspective, allowing Harry back into the inner circle without a major change in behavior would be dangerous. Trust, once broken in private, can sometimes be repaired. Trust broken publicly, repeatedly, and commercially is much harder. This is also why the king can seem weak to some observers and human to others. Charles may want contact with Harry because Harry is his son. He may want to see Archie and Lilibet because they are his grandchildren. He may feel, especially during his cancer treatment, that time matters more than pride. That is not weakness in a personal sense. It is a father responding to mortality and regret. But monarchy turns personal choices into public signals. If Charles is seen to soften while Harry continues to challenge the Home Office, attack judgments, and use media pressure, critics will say the king is enabling him. The difficult truth is that a monarch's compassion can become a constitutional vulnerability if it is used by someone who does not respect boundaries. That is why any future private contact has to be separated from public endorsement. Charles can love Harry without restoring him to public royal life. He can see his grandchildren without influencing Rabec. He can offer a room in a secure royal residence without implying that Harry's security campaign is justified. He can keep a father-son channel open while making clear that decisions about taxpayer-funded police protection belong to ministers and officials. The palace's challenge is to make that separation visible enough to protect the institution while not humiliating the king as a father. Harry's challenge is even greater. If he genuinely wants a relationship with his father, he will have to show restraint. That means no briefing about private meetings, no using the children as emotional leverage, no public pressure timed around family contact, and no suggestion that a royal reunion should push the Home Office into changing policy. It also means accepting that legal defeat is legal defeat, not automatically proof of corruption. If Harry wants the state to treat him as responsible enough for exceptional consideration,
manipulative cow that she is comes with him, that's a completely different, kettle of fish entirely. I personally
But David, you're saying he won't just get it back, will he, if he returns?
I don't think he should.
There's still affection for Harry, I believe.
Not much.
Oh, I don't know. Without the witch.
No, I think the point is very simple. His own behavior.
he has to behave like someone who understands responsibility. At the moment, critics argue, he still behaves like someone who believes public emotion should override formal process. The question of Meghan's role remains sensitive. Some commentators blame her for Harry's transformation from popular working royal to estranged critic. That is too simple. Harry had pain, resentment, and instability long before he met Meghan. His grief over Diana, his discomfort with being the spare, his frustration with press intrusion, and his uneasy relationship with royal hierarchy were already present. Meghan may have intensified those feelings or given them new language, but she did not invent all of them. Still, the marriage changed the direction of Harry's life. Together, the couple made choices that turned private unhappiness into a public break with the institution. Together, they moved to California. Together, they built a brand around royal grievance and personal reinvention. Responsibility belongs to both of them. The children make the situation more emotional. Archie and Lilibet are innocent, and their safety should never be treated casually. They also deserve relationships with relatives if those relationships can be healthy. But when Harry argues that his children cannot safely visit Britain without official protection, he also makes them part of a political and security dispute. When Meghan releases images from family trips, including royal or Diana-linked locations, the children become part of the public narrative again. The Sussexes often speak of privacy and protection, but their use of family imagery is selective. Critics see that selectivity and ask whether privacy means privacy or simply control. That brings us back to the Highgrove meeting. If the reunion truly happened quietly, without photographs or detailed leaks from the room, that was a positive sign. The king reportedly insisted on secrecy, and the palace released only minimal confirmation. That is the correct approach. The public does not need every sentence exchanged between a father, son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren. But the wider media cycle did not remain quiet.
We will have to find some way in which the human side and the public side, if he comes back, can be separated out in exactly the same way, I'm afraid, that they've been done with Prince Andrew. There will have to be the only right. Let me now formulate this much more clearly. The only way he could be allowed back to live permanently in Britain would be if he fully forfeited his royal status. That's the only
100%.
way.
But David, can I just ask you as a historian though, if you think back to King Edward VIII,
almost immediately, the security question returned, and with it came speculation about future visits, lobbying, Home Office anger, and Harry's determination to keep fighting. That is why skeptics are not convinced the Sussexes have changed. A quiet meeting is useful only if it is followed by quiet discipline. The Home Secretary's position is also important. Shabana Mahmood has remained Home Secretary under Prime Minister Andy Burnham's new government, according to recent reports. That means Harry is dealing with a minister already familiar with the security dispute and the wider Home Office view. If officials are frustrated by attempts to use public pressure to force a change, Harry may not find the new political landscape friendlier. A new Prime Minister does not automatically mean a new answer. In fact, with public resources stretched and political security high on the agenda, a government may be even less willing to appear as if it is giving special treatment to a prince who left public duty. There is also a democratic fairness issue. Taxpayers fund police protection for people whose roles expose them to risk on behalf of the state. The monarch, senior working royals, prime ministers, certain ministers, former leaders, and public figures under specific threat. The details are rightly secret because public knowledge could endanger protected people, but the principle must be defensible. If ordinary people are struggling with cost of living pressures, if police resources are under strain, and if political violence is a growing concern, the government cannot easily justify open-ended protection for a wealthy private royal living abroad. Harry may not like that framing, but it is the political reality. This is why the possibility of a permanent return to Britain is so complicated. Some believe Harry wants to come back, at least partly, because returning could strengthen his argument for security and restore some connection to royal life. Others think Meghan would never accept a permanent move back, given the hostility she faces in Britain and the life she has built in California. Both may be true in different ways.
Then the Duke of Windsor. I mean, I was absolutely fascinated looking into this. You know, he only returned, I can't remember the number. I think he only returned 5 times, right, after his abdication. He only returned to the country. I'm pretty sure it was 5 times. And I believe Wallace Simpson only had 1 audience with any official member of the royal family. It was at Queen Mary's funeral. Like, that's exile. It's how it works. You make your choice, and that's what William wants. And I'm sorry, I do understand what you're both saying. Yes, of course, family. I get it, right? But Charles's weakness here, I think, is damaging the monarchy. I do, because it was so necessary with the Duke of Windsor.
Harry may miss his homeland, his old identity, and the sense of belonging that came with royal service. Meghan may prefer the control, distance, and commercial possibilities of America. But if Harry ever did try to return permanently, the monarchy would need clear rules. He could not simply reappear as a public royal with old privileges and no accountability. One theoretical answer would be a fully private life. Harry could live in Britain as the king's son, but not as a working royal, not as a public representative, and not as a figure using titles for commercial projects. He could maintain private family contact, receive whatever security is justified by specific risk, and stop trying to force public status. But critics doubt he would accept that because attention has become central to the Sussex model. Meghan's brand relies on visibility. Harry's causes rely on status. Their income and influence come from being royal enough to matter. A genuinely private life would solve some constitutional problems, but it would also shrink the very platform they have spent years using. Another answer would be formal clarification of titles and roles, though that is politically and legally complex. Removing or limiting titles is not simple, and it could create more drama than it solves. It might also turn Harry and Meghan into martyrs in the eyes of supporters. The palace tends to prefer slow containment over dramatic confrontation. That has been the strategy since the late Queen's reign. Keep calm, avoid escalation, let time reveal the consequences of choices. But the downside of containment is that ambiguity continues. Harry remains able to speak as a wounded outsider while benefiting from insider status. That ambiguity is especially visible in the way titles are used. Harry and Meghan no longer work for the crown, but they remain the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Their children are Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Those titles carry emotional and commercial weight, particularly in the United States, where aristocratic language still has a certain glamour, even if the constitutional meaning is not always understood.
Would he?
No, he wouldn't.
No.
He loves the attention. He's an attention seeker.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it.
No.
No.
Oh, she certainly
And
wouldn't.
well
the
be.
other
I mean,
problem
just
is the other problem is then he wouldn't get his security either.
No,
His
indeed.
precious
I mean,
security.
you may be right that the cold rationality which Prince William appears to be displaying on this may be right. But equally, of course, remember there was an enormous...
The Sussexes can say they are building independent lives, but the titles continually remind the public why their projects receive attention. A cooking show appearance, a charity visit, a holiday photograph, or a magazine profile all lands differently because of the royal connection. Without the titles and the lineage, the same material would not produce the same global reaction. That is why critics argue that Harry cannot keep using royal identity while rejecting royal limits. Titles are not just decorative words, they imply connection to an institution and, in the public mind, a certain standard of conduct. When Harry attacks court outcomes, pressures ministers, or gives interviews about private family conflict, his words are not heard as the complaints of an ordinary private citizen. They are heard as the words of the king's son. When Meghan posts family images from a trip that includes Althorpe or a meeting with the king, those images are not treated as ordinary celebrity vacation content. They carry royal meaning. The Sussexes may insist that they are private people, but their own public power comes from the fact that they are not treated as private people. The children make this even more delicate. Archie and Lilibet did not choose their titles, their parents' public strategy, or the security dispute around them. They should be protected from harsh public judgment, but their status is still part of the constitutional picture. If Harry argues that his children face danger because of royal birth, that point strengthens his emotional case for protection. At the same time, if the children retain royal titles while being raised outside royal duty and used only selectively in public narratives, critics see another version of the same problem: royal benefit without royal obligation. The king may understandably want a relationship with his grandchildren, but the institution must be careful that family affection does not become a route back to public privilege. This is why calls for Harry to renounce royal status keep returning, even if they are unlikely to be acted on quickly.
A sense of how times have changed since 1936 and 1937. But also, he had been king. He had wielded sovereign power. And that meant that the rules of severance had to be absolutely clear. You look at his instrument of abdication, its absolute finality, the word irrevocable stands of it. And Harry, of course, there's always been this uncertainty of status, and he was only a second son. I mean, hence the famous...
Well, yes. Yes, but I would also argue, though, the Duke of Windsor in all of his years on Earth, post his time as king, did not try to destroy the British royal family, did not spread false
No, but he did
rumours about the
collaborate with
royal
Adolf
family.
Hitler.
Well,
I'm not defending him as a human being, but Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made accusations about the British royal family, I believe, in an attempt to try and bring that family down. So I think they are dangerous in a different way. That's not to defend the Duke of Windsor.
And so did Princess Diana. The really lethal accusations against Charles were made by his mother.
Yeah, but it was against Charles.
The demand is less a practical, legal proposal than an expression of frustration. People are asking for moral consistency. If Harry believes the royal system damaged him so deeply, why does he continue to use its titles? If Meghan wants a fully independent American lifestyle brand, why is the Duchess identity still useful? If the children are to be raised outside the institution, why should their prince and princess styles remain central to public interest? These questions may be uncomfortable, but they are not irrational. They come from the gap between what the Sussexes say they left and what they continue to draw from. The next few months will therefore be telling. Harry is expected back in Britain in September for the World Child Awards. He is also connected to the 2027 Invictus Games in Birmingham, a major event he clearly wants to succeed and may want his family to attend. Each visit will raise the same questions. Where will he stay? How much notice will he give? What security will be provided? Will Meghan and the children come? Will there be a meeting with the king? And will private family contact be followed by public lobbying? If Harry handles these visits quietly, he may slowly rebuild some trust. If every visit becomes a security drama, the government's patience and the palace's goodwill may erode further. The irony is that Harry still has genuine goodwill available if he changes course. Many people remember the young prince who served in the army, supported veterans, joked easily with the public, and seemed to bring warmth to royal engagements. Invictus remains one of his strongest achievements. Well Child is a sincere, long-running association. Even critics often concede that Harry can be effective when he focuses on service rather than grievance. The problem is that the grievance now overwhelms the service. Every good cause becomes shadowed by a lawsuit, a family dispute, a security demand, or a media complaint. If Harry wants public respect again, he has to let the work speak louder than the wound. That is what the working royals understand. The king continues with official duties despite illness. William and Catherine are raising their children while preparing for the future of the monarchy. Princess Anne, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, and others continue the ordinary rhythm of engagements. None of it is as dramatic as the Sussex saga, but that is precisely why it works. Monarchy is not supposed to be constant emotional self-expression. It is supposed to be disciplined continuity. Harry's public style is almost the opposite: urgent, personal, reactive, and accusatory. That may generate headlines, but it does not build institutional trust. So, are we heading toward a constitutional crisis? Not in the dramatic sense of a throne-shaking emergency tomorrow morning. Harry is too far from the direct line and too removed from official duty for that. But there is a constitutional discomfort, and it is growing. The King's son is challenging the government's security decisions, publicly pressuring ministers, disputing court outcomes, and maintaining royal status while living as a private commercial figure abroad. The monarchy and the state can manage that for a while. They have managed worse, but the longer the ambiguity lasts, the more each visit risks becoming a test of authority. Who decides, the prince or the process? For now, the answer must be the process. The king can be a father. The Home Secretary must be a minister. Ravek must assess risk. The courts must decide legality. The police must allocate resources. Harry can make his case, but he cannot be allowed to turn personal pain into public policy. If his threat level justifies protection, the system can provide it in the appropriate form. If it does not, he must accept that he is not entitled to the same arrangements he had before leaving royal duty. That is the line a constitutional monarchy has to hold. The final point is simple. Harry's problem is no longer only security, it is trust. The government must trust that he will respect process. The palace must trust that private contact will remain private. The public must trust that his requests are about safety, not status or cost shifting. His family must trust that reconciliation will not become content. At the moment, that trust is thin. Every briefing, every court attack, every public complaint, and every attempt to frame formal decisions as personal betrayal makes it thinner. Prince Harry may still believe he is fighting for his family's safety. His supporters may believe he has been treated unfairly. His critics may believe he is demanding privileges without duties. But whatever view one takes, the core issue remains. He cannot live permanently in the emotional space between prince and private citizen, outsider and insider, victim and campaigner, son and pressure group. Sooner or later, the monarchy, the government, or Harry himself will have to define what he is now. Until that happens, every visit home will carry the same tension. Every family reunion will be read for political meaning, and every security request will raise the question Harry has spent 6 years avoiding. Can he accept the consequences of the life he chose?